Best Greek? What are the advantages and disadvantages of learning Greek that you should know? My response differs depending on who I'm speaking with and whether they seek specialized linguistic help or general guidance on learning Greek. For example, I had to hesitate when someone recently asked me if Greek was still worth learning in the present era. I had to think about it because there are various advantages and disadvantages. Growing up on an island that everyone mistakenly thinks is a Greek island but is a different country, I found myself forced to learn Greek. But, in reality, I entered the Cyprus school system knowing just a few words of Greek and was barely able to pull together a simple phrase learning Greek. I entered secondary school knowing just a few words and sentences because the little rural school, which had classes of 4 to 10 pupils, had the resources to enable an older child to learn a new language from the beginning. I say mainly because I'm a linguistic klutz who has trouble speaking English, let alone a second language, half of the time. On the one hand, if you have a strong interest in the lively and widely practiced learning Greek culture, or if you have commercial or personal ties to Greece, then Greek will benefit you. On the other hand, Greek is also spoken in various nations, but mostly in small enclaves. This implies that your Greek may come in helpful when traveling in some parts of the world. More importantly, Greek is one of the foundation languages of Western civilization, at least in my opinion. Greek has impacted every Romance language to some extent. Learning Greek may not have a practical use for you, but it will undoubtedly increase your understanding of languages. So, when it comes to being a suitable language for communicating with individuals from different nations, Greek is quite limited. Moreover, given the existence of the Cyprus dialect, it's likely that Greek and Cypriot speakers don't always understand each other. Surprisingly, Greek isn't a complicated language to learn, at least in my perspective. Sure, I was immersed in the language and culture, but much of Greek is well structured and follows constant principles. Learning Greek. Once you've gotten over the alphabet and the fact that some letters don't sound like they look, B is a V in Greek, for example, the only remaining issues are gender, masculine, feminine, neutral, and whether the form of V, I, or O belongs where. Still, the most excellent method to learn a language is to compel oneself to do so, primarily by living in a region where the language is required in learning Greek. That's the origin of the word. Oh, so that's what that means. Or oh, so that's what that means. If it's not Latin, it's usually Greek, and you can occasionally trace how the Latin term evolved from the Greek one. But what's the fascinating aspect of learning Greek culture? It's an ancient language. Sure, because I'm terrible at all things verbal and mumble every word like a bashful fool, what I'm saying is hardly understandable, but Greek has been spoken in some form for, well, centuries. While contemporary Greek differs significantly from ancient Greek and even nearly modern Polytonic Greek, essentially Greek with different accents, the fundamental language remains unchanged. In summary, as much as it kills me to say it, learning Greek nowadays is mainly motivated by curiosity and reverence for one of the world's oldest languages. Greek is a fascinating language with a long history that has shaped the globe for millennia, and it is always worthwhile to study. So, while I don't speak the same language as ancient learning Greek poets and philosophers, there's a chance they'd be able to comprehend what you're saying if you had a discussion with one.